The name Zhang Yuxuan is burning through every corner of Chinese media. Once associated with a glamorous life of luxury, whispers of networking with the elite, his rise as a notorious figure in the underground circles of entertainment. It has now become inseparable from the darkest tragedy in the nation's showbiz world, the death of actor Menglong. For months, fans demanded answers. Rumors swirled about tainted alcohol, suspicious acquaintances, and a network of people who all seemed determined to keep the truth buried. But today, the mystery has taken a shocking turn: the arrest of a third suspect, Zhang Yuxuan, the man now accused of being the indirect hand that drove Menglong to his tragic end. When the news broke at dawn, it was as if an earthquake had shaken the entertainment industry. The Shanghai skyline had just begun to glow when police cars pulled up outside a sleek, glass-walled apartment complex. Neighbors peeked from their balconies as officers stormed into a unit on the 22nd floor. Minutes later, Zang Yuxuan was let out in handcuffs. His once immaculate hair unkempt, his face drained of all its former arrogance. The cameras caught every second of it, broadcasting images that quickly flooded Weibo, Douyin, and every major news outlet in the country. The caption read, "Third suspect arrested. Connection to Menglong's death confirmed." The fans still grieving. This arrest meant something close to vindication. But the relief was short-lived. Reports quickly revealed the most horrifying detail yet: Zhang Yuxuan had not simply been a passive figure in the tragedy. He was, according to investigators, a man who supplied the illicit stimulants that left Menglong incapacitated and vulnerable. Worse, he had allegedly pressured the beloved actor into consuming them far beyond his tolerance, forcing him into a state from which he would never recover. In interrogation rooms, under the blinding lights of the police precinct, Zhang Yuxuan's voice was recorded. His words, now leaked to the press, sent chills down spines. "I gave him what he wanted," he said, his tone trembling but defiant. "But I wasn't the one in charge. They told me to keep pushing. They wanted him to keep playing, to keep performing, until he couldn't anymore." When asked who they were, Zhang's response turned evasive. "I can't say. If I speak their names, it's over for me. You don't understand how powerful they are." His refusal only deepened the mystery. The public wanted clarity, but instead they were left with more questions. Who stood behind this chain of exploitation? Was it a powerful manager, a producer, or someone with even deeper ties to the entertainment underworld? Shanghai police were quick to issue a statement to the media, attempting to balance transparency with the need to protect their ongoing investigation. Officer Li Wenhao, a spokesperson for the precinct, declared, "The suspect has confessed to supplying the controlled substances that were a direct factor in Menglong's deterioration." He also admitted to coercing the victim into continued use despite visible signs of distress. However, the testimony provided so far is inconsistent. The department is pursuing multiple leads regarding the possibility of individuals operating at a higher level of influence. The gravity of those words echoed across newsrooms. This was no longer about a lone suspect making reckless decisions, it was about a web of command and obedience. The revelation that someone more powerful might have ordered Menglong's torment only magnified public outrage. Hashtags like "Justice for Menglong" and "Zhang Yuxuan arrest" exploded across social platforms, reaching millions within hours. For Menglong's fans, details were unbearable. They remembered the actor as a smiling, kind-hearted figure on screen. His roles often portrayed innocence, romance, and resilience, making his violent and manipulative death all the more tragic. That he had been coerced, pressured into consuming substances until he collapsed, was like salt poured into an open wound. Vigils were held in multiple cities. Fans lighting candles, holding posters, and chanting, "Tell us the truth. Name the ones behind this." Zhang Yuxuan refused, again and again. During questioning, his answers circled the same vague lines. "I didn't want him to die. It wasn't supposed to go that far. Only did what I was told." When pressed by detectives for the identity of his superiors, he clammed up. "They're untouchable. You think arresting me changes anything? They'll replace me tomorrow." His words painted the picture of a conspiracy far more sinister than anyone he had dared imagine. At a press conference, Police Chief Zhang Rui added his voice to the matter. "This investigation is complex, and while we have made significant progress, it is far from over. The public should understand that we are dealing with a case that has ties to multiple individuals and possible organized networks. We will continue to follow the evidence wherever it leads. Justice for Yu Menglong is not negotiable. Of these official statements only heightened the suspense. Every detail that surfaced seemed to lead not to resolution, but to deeper shadows. The entertainment industry, rocked by previous scandals, now faced its most devastating blow. Talent agencies scrambled to distance themselves from the affair. Advertisers pulled campaigns linked to anyone even remotely connected to Zhang Yuxuan. Shows where his name once appeared in credits quietly scrubbed him from their promotions. Meanwhile, journalists began digging into Zhang's past. They uncovered rumors of his ties to exclusive clubs, penchant for expensive cars and parties, and his sudden wealth that seemed to come from nowhere. He was described as charming yet dangerous. A man whose smile could disarm but whose influence came from darker circles. These revelations only painted him as a more fitting villain in the narrative of Yu Menglong's fall. But for all the headlines screaming his name, Zhang Yuxuan remained elusive in his full truth. Confession was chilling. Yes, but incomplete. To the act of supplying and coercing. He admitted to pushing Menglong beyond the brink. Yet the missing piece, the name of the puppet master pulling the strings, remained sealed behind his lips. It was as though he carried the entire industry's darkest secret. No amount of interrogation could break it free. For the fans, this was agony. They wanted closure. They wanted to know who had engineered the torment of their beloved star. But instead, they were left with fragments of a confession that revealed horror without revealing answers. As the dust began to settle on the shocking arrest of Zhang Yuxuan, they realized that the case was far from over. What had initially appeared to be the conclusion of a months-long investigation quickly turned into a new chapter, filled with even more unanswered questions. Zhang's refusal to name the forces behind him cast a dark cloud not only over the investigation but over the entire entertainment industry. Public reaction came fast and fierce. On Weibo, hashtags exploded in real time. One trending phrase, "Who is pulling the strings?" gathered more than 300 million views within a single day. Fans of Yu Menglong shared photos, videos, and heartfelt messages, describing the immense pain of watching their idol's life cut short in such a cruel, manipulative way. Candlelight vigils spread to major cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and even smaller towns. These gatherings, one question echoed louder than any: if Zhang Yuxuan wasn't the mastermind, then who was? In the wake of this public uproar, police increased their communication. At a press conference, Chief Zhang Rui spoke firmly to reporters. The suspect has confirmed his role in providing the illicit substances and coercing continued use. His actions contributed directly to the victim's deteriorating state. However, the suspect remains unwilling to reveal higher-level actors. I believe this reluctance is motivated by fear of retaliation. The Shanghai police will pursue every lead until all responsible parties are identified and held accountable. Words carried weight, but they also reveal the difficulties of the investigation. Yuxuan's testimony was riddled with half-truths, contradictions, and strategically vague statements. Asked whether a producer or financier had given him orders, Yuxuan reportedly smirked and said, "You don't know the kind of people I'm dealing with. They own everything you see. If I talk, I'm finished before sunrise." This evasiveness ignited speculation. Media users began drawing connections between powerful entertainment companies, wealthy backers, and the dark history of coercion in the industry. Some claimed Yuxuan had long been a fixer, a man whose job was to keep stars compliant, whether through persuasion, blackmail, or controlled substances. Believed he was just a pawn, expendable, meant to take the fall while the real architects remained untouchable. Meanwhile, the legal machine began to turn. Prosecutors announced formal charges against Zhang Yuxuan: unlawful distribution of controlled substances, criminal coercion, and reckless endangerment leading to death. If convicted, experts estimated he could face a sentence of 15 to 20 years. But even as this news hit the headlines, haters pointed out that no prison term could answer the lingering question of who gave the orders. Inside the courtroom, Yuxuan's demeanor fascinated reporters. He appeared calm, even defiant, smirking as prosecutors outlined their case. When asked if he accepted responsibility, he reportedly replied, "I did what I was told. Game doesn't end with me. Lock me up if you want, it won't change anything." This statement, both chilling and frustrating, only deepened the sense of an invisible puppet master orchestrating events from the shadows. Fans of Menglong, unwilling to let the case fade into bureaucratic limbo, organized online campaigns demanding full justice. The group called itself Menglong's Light and published open letters urging the authorities to dismantle the networks of exploitation within the entertainment world. Their words captured national attention: "We will not rest until the true mastermind is revealed. We want names, not just pawns." Menglong's colleagues began to speak publicly. Fellow actor broke down during a televised interview. "He was one of the gentlest people I've ever known. To hear that he was forced until he lost consciousness, it breaks me. This industry is rotten if such things can happen in plain sight." Directors, producers, and agents found themselves under unprecedented scrutiny. Overnight, the glamour of Chinese showbiz was recast as a theater of exploitation and fear. Shanghai police attempted to reassure the public with new updates. Officer Li Wenhao delivered another statement. Aware of the pressure this case has placed on the public and on the victims' supporters, our department has launched extended investigations into several entities believed to be linked to the suspects' activities. While we cannot disclose details at this stage, emphasize that the law applies equally, regardless of status or influence. The phrase "regardless of status or influence" was seized upon by media outlets, repeated across television, print, online columns. Commentators framed it as both a promise and a challenge. Could the authorities truly hold the most powerful accountable? At the same time, the entertainment industry entered crisis mode. Advertisers terminated deals. Dramas scheduled for release were postponed. Variety shows cut segments and reshot episodes to avoid even the slightest association with the scandal. Insiders whispered about a purge of risky figures. Individuals known to operate in gray areas suddenly vanished from the spotlight, either retreating on their own or being pushed out by frightened companies. For Menglong's family, the pain remained immeasurable. In a rare public statement, sister said, "We want nothing more than truth. My brother was a bright soul who brought joy to millions. He deserved to live, to work, to love. Her hid behind Zhang Yuxuan must come to light." Her words struck a nerve. Widely shared online with comments like, "For Menglong, we demand the truth." Yet Zang Yukun continued to play his dangerous game of half-confession and silence. In one chilling moment, during a break in court proceedings, a reporter overheard him mutter, "Even if I told you, wouldn't believe me. The one behind all this is untouchable." Those words, yet heavy with implication, became the headline of the day. The case became more than a crime story. It turned into a symbol of resistance against the darker currents in celebrity culture. Universities hosted debates about corruption in the arts. Shows ran specials on the pressures faced by young stars. Analysts compared it to previous scandals, but insisted this one had the potential to reshape the industry forever. Still, the core mystery remained unsolved. Asked the same question over and over: who is the mastermind? Each passing day without an answer fed more conspiracy theories. Some believed in the involvement of a powerful producer. Whispered about shadowy investors tied to international syndicates. Whatever the truth, one fact was clear: Zang Yuxuan was not the end of the story, only a chapter in a larger and far more dangerous book. As the court adjourned for the day, cameras flashed around the handcuffed figure of Yuxuan. His expression was unreadable, somewhere between arrogance and resignation. Outside, the chants of fans filled the air. "Justice for Menglong. Reveal the truth." The sound echoed through the streets of Shanghai. A haunting reminder that this case was no longer about one man's downfall, but about an entire nation's demand for accountability. And so, China waits. Zang Yuxuan, the hottest name for his notoriety and now for his infamy, sits in his cell, holding secrets that could shatter the industry. Menglong, the beloved actor whose life was stolen, has become a symbol of both grief and defiance. Police insist the case is not closed. The public refuses to let it fade. Mastermind, whoever they are, remains in the shadows until that figure is unmasked. The story of Menglong's death and Zang Yuxuan's arrest will remain unfinished. A wound in the heart of Chinese entertainment and a reminder that sometimes the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows.